Magnus Carlsen, the current world champion, has, if I'm not mistaken, the highest chess rating in history. But given what you said about the psychology as well, how do you think Magnus Carlsen would fare over a 24-game series with Garry Kasparov in his prime or Bobby Fischer in his prime?
Actually, two questions in one. One is about inflation of the ratings. One is about relative strengths of the different players. You know, starting with the second question, I'm not comfortable of trying to put Bobby Fischer or Capablanca or Botvinnik or Kasparov against Magnus Carlsen because, you know, it's like trying to compare different scientists, you know, like Newton and Einstein. So
I'm going to save you the trouble of this. So when Magnus won the world championship the second time, he said two down, 5 to go. And I think to match Garry. And I think that's about where we are.
You know, 6 matches, 6 world titles. Now, it's every generation is getting more sophisticated because we learn from the previous generation. So that's why Garry Kasparov at his prime was a player who, let's say in 1990, was not as knowledgeable about opening theory and about other things as Magnus Carlsen today. If you give me in 1990, theoretically, a chance to learn about everything that happened in the next 25 years, so that would be a different player. So then you compare talents. Same with Bobby Fischer. So Fischer in 1972 knew probably less than any average grandmaster today, so what? And that brings us to the rating system. Yeah, Magnus has the highest rating system, which is natural because, you know, there are more and more players, you know, the whole pyramid has been growing, and more players on the bottom, you know, they create sort of the higher pyramids on the top. I had for 13 years the highest ever rating was 2851. But I wouldn't compare this to Bobby Fischer's 2785 in 1972. Today, Fischer would be probably, you know, in top 10 only. I don't think that, you know, that's his real position. When I crossed 2800 mark in 1990, there was only one player in 2700 category, Anatoly Karpov. Today there are 50. So it gives you an idea that, you know, it's all the ratings.
They actually did inflation deliberately at one time early on, so people felt like they were getting better. I'm serious. They actually did that. They've stopped that. But anyway, we should take some more questions.
Rabbi Stuart Altshuler. We have a big mess in the Middle East. I want you to reflect on the damage, in my view, perhaps you disagree, that Obama created when he didn't respond to Putin's support of Assad in Syria and the mess that's building there in the Middle East with Iran, with ISIS, and the whole part of that global situation.
Look, it's not I said, you know, you can look at my Twitter, you can look at my Facebook, you can look at my interviews. I was furious when Obama drew this red line and then just walked away. You know, it's responsible of US president to protect the integrity of the office. And I'm not here to argue whether it was a right idea or he was right or wrong by actually having this red line in the first place. But if it's there, you can't talk anymore. Somebody crosses, you shoot. You did it already. And I argued, and I was on a few TV shows in America having debates, that said the consequences of Obama doing this will be felt not only in the region, but way beyond that, because every stock in the world was watching Obama and recognized that he was weak. I think that helped Putin to make a decision to invade Ukraine because, okay, well, just as the guy keeps talking. So Obama always tries to hide behind Congress and foreign affairs, which is not typical for America. So it's normally U.S. president, you know, is fully responsible for foreign policy actions. And, you know, you can see the ISIS rise. It's very much the result of the failure of the mission. So Americans failed to actually finalize all these arrangements there. I don't think they could, but definitely they could.
To be fair, it goes back to what you said about we invaded in a very ignorant way earlier, and then went to the opposite
in chess,
extreme.
Agreed. You know, I think the invasion of Iraq was a mistake. But in chess, we have a simple rule: the bad plan is better than no plan, because at least you can learn, you can adjust. But if you have no plan, you're dead. So it's a disaster. And also regarding Iran, they keep saying that Russia is an important partner. Russia, important partner. It's just, it's as if there is a common ground to negotiate. Because, yeah, I can imagine, even American presidents 40 years ago could negotiate with Soviet Politburo, but at least, we knew what was the end game. And there was certain compromise that could be reached. The problem, by dealing with Putin on Iran is that there is no compromise because the goals are totally opposite. Putin needs what? High oil prices, correct. That's the only way for him to survive and get cash. How you can get high oil prices? You need tension. Where? In the Middle East. So Putin's strategic interest is to make sure that Iran will be developing nuclear weapon forever. Maybe ideally we'll even get it. So there will be ISIS, there will be other terrorists, Hamas will attack Israel. As long as the tension is there, he has a chance of oil prices being high. Now,
isn't he pretty exposed through the republics and of ISIS coming up and radical Islam coming up through some of the former Soviet republics?
Okay,
shouldn't he worry about that?
It's
too many moves ahead.
Exactly, it's chess. This is somebody who's playing poker. He ends this game and then he'll start another one. But right now he needs high oil prices. And also, when you look at Putin, ISIS, Iranian mullahs, what brings them together? They treat free world and especially the United States as enemies. Because for them, this conflict is the main rationale for being in power. They need the enemy. So we have positive agenda, and the globalization created many opportunities for businesses, for technologies, but unfortunately also create opportunities for bad guys. Because now they can recruit crazies from around the world, and while we're trying to confront them with positive agenda, they have only negative agenda. Because the strengths of all the thugs as being judged by their followers by the caliber of the enemy. So that's why they always attack us, because they know that the success of a liberal democracy and market economy means the end of their rule, because it will destroy
it's a huge difference between China and Russia. China thinks, rightly or wrongly, that it's winning if it's patient, and Russia thinks it's losing if it's patient. At that point.
Okay, with China's leaders.
Let me move on to a couple more questions.
In the old Soviet Union, there was, of course, notorious anti-Semitism against Jews in many areas. Did this extend to chess? And would it have been possible for the Soviet Union to have had a chess team without the Jewish influence?
I doubt very much, because I think that most of the chess players in the Soviet Union, definitely before me. So yes, it's changed in the 70s and 80s, but the majority of top players, when you look in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, were of Jewish origin. So again,
and you had one of your parents was Jewish.
My father
right?
was Jewish, yes. But it's the anti-Semitism in the Soviet Union could be easily combined with the great minds of Jewish origin, sort of being on top of cultural or sport pyramid. So we had musicians, performers, artists, chess players, scientists. So and the Soviet regime had an ideological agenda that required the talent. By the way, that's the difference with Putin. He doesn't care. So today's Russia doesn't need any more of intellect. So that's why the wave of the immigration in the last 5 years is as high as after 1917. So people just leaving the country. And when you look at the quality of people who live in the country, you can understand, that's a government's policy. So they have a huge wave of immigration from Central Asia, and they have immigrants, so that there's a leaving the country, and those people who could contribute to sort of Silicon Valleys.
Okay.
What are your political ambitions and aspirations? Because you're talking obviously a lot of common sense to most of us in this room, but how can you use that to influence world political affairs?
Talking about world political affairs or Russian?
Or Russian.
Or both. Actually, if political ambitions, I would say none. I just believe that if you say things that make common sense, as you said, especially at the time when you could use social media and you can communicate the message even back to Russia, despite the fact that all TV channels blocked for you. At a certain point, people start listening. I'm doing it in America as much as I can, in Europe, in my native language, in Russian. And I still remain optimistic that the human race doesn't deserve Putins of this world to be there forever. And it's too dangerous for us to have these guys around. So eventually, even in Russia, common sense will prevail, and I'll be doing everything I can to make sure it happens rather sooner than later.